Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet. The Lok Sabha witnessed a fiery constitution debate, rife with heated exchanges and sharp retorts. Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has criticized the Prime Minister's reply in Lok Sabha, describing it as tedious and unimpressive, similar to enduring a double maths class. This comes after Prime Minister Modi accused India's first Prime Minister and Congress veteran Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru of changing the constitution and attacking the freedom of speech and expression. He later outlined a list of 11 resolutions to safeguard India's future. Meanwhile, drama unfolded when leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi goofed up an analogy of Eklavya Dronacharya while taking a jibe at the government. Before we open up this conversation, let's listen in to the out-and-out politics, or rather the political war between the Prime Minister and the Gandhis.
जैसे द्रोणाचार्य जी ने एकलव्य का अंगूठा काटा, वैसे ही आप हिंदुस्तान के युवाओं का जैसे ही एकलव्य ने जैसे एकलव्य का अंगूठा काटा गया, वैसे ही आप हिंदुस्तान के युवाओं का सबका अंगूठा काटते हो।
प्रधानमंत्री पंडित नेहरू जी ने मुख्यमंत्रियों को एक चिट्ठी लिखी थी। उस चिट्ठी में उन्होंने लिखा था, नेहरू जी लिखते हैं, अगर संविधान हमारे, आगे नेहरू जी लिखते हैं, अगर संविधान हमारे रास्ते के बीच में आ जाए, ये नेहरू जी लिख रहे हैं, अगर संविधान हमारे रास्ते के बीच में आ जाए, आगे नेहरू जी कह रहे हैं, तो हर हाल में संविधान में परिवर्तन करना चाहिए। ये नेहरू जी ने मुख्यमंत्रियों को चिट्ठी लिखी
का जिक्र किया। एक नई चीज नहीं बोली और कर दिया पूरी तरह से। मुझे बहुत दशकों बाद ये एहसास हुआ कि मैं वो जो स्कूल में जो मैथ का डबल पीरियड होता था ना, कि मैं उसमें बैठी और उसमें वो नड्डा जी भी ऐसे हाथ मल रहे थे, फिर मोदी जी ने उनकी तरफ देखा तो अचानक वो ऐसे लगने, एक्टिंग करने लग गई कि मैं सुन रहा हूँ। अमित शाह जी यूं अपना सर छू रहे थे, पीयूष गोयल जी भी पीछे ऐसे लग रहे थे।
About this with our guests, Jasmine Sandhawalia, BJP spokesperson, with us on the broadcast. Advocate Mahima Singh, Congress spokesperson, will be joining us momentarily. Mr. Sumit Peer, senior political commentator, also with us on the program. Nikhil Jain, political analyst, joins us on the show as well. Last but by no means the least, Dr. Suvra Kamal Datta, senior political analyst, also joins us on the program. Sumit Peer, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra also had a good first debut speech in the Lok Sabha the other day. But to sum it up, she went on to say that the Prime Minister was tedious and unimpressive in his bhashan, or in his response to what Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi both spoke. She also went on to say that you can erase the name of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru from books, but you cannot erase his contribution towards India. And she also highlighted that a number of PSUs were all built by Jawaharlal Nehru, which are of course being brandished as institutions which were worked upon by this government as well. How do you respond to this tutu meme which is going on in the parliament? Of course, let's not forget that Eklavya cut his own thumb. It was not Dronacharya. In fact, Dronacharya challenged him to cut his own thumb, without which he was useless when it came to the sport of bow and arrow. So obviously a bit of levity in the parliament because of Rahul Gandhi's faux pas. But overall, what do you make of this back and forth, Sumit P?
Vinny, thank you very much for having me on your show. Well, when you look at it, I fundamentally agree with one remark of Priyanka ji, that it was a double boring maths class. If Congress people would have got their maths right, they won't be decimated to this number. So fundamentally, we need, the problem has been deep rooted in them. कभी ना स्कूल में ढंग से गणित नहीं पढ़ी, अगर गणित पढ़ते तो ये हालत नहीं होती. You know, you have 345 MLAs leaving you. You have more than 150 MPs leaving you. You are decimated after state. You have 90% of your zamanat getting zabt in all the elections. And as a party or cadre, you have everything going in a disarray. And from 400 plus majority in the Lok Sabha, you are reduced to 99, that too by the Mehrbani of India Alliance. So that means fundamentally, Priyanka Gandhi did not like mathematics, and that is quite evident. Even that is true for Rahul Gandhi. And when you talked about the debut speech, Vineet ji, yes, she was saying that I think she forgot that in Himachal the government is hers, right? She forgot that. And so these are some of the, and she told that the people in Sambal were killed by UP police. Well, at 315 Bor Katta, all the people got killed. She again forgot that. Well, that is okay. Gandhis are entitled to anything. Policy paralysis, corruption, scams, Mama Kautrochi, Mama Soros. This is the legacy what they have bought in. Look, you have a blot. You got 35A and 370 into the constitution. You put emergency on the country. You put everybody in the jail, including when Modi ji said कि जो दल बैठे इनके भी बड़े नेता थे, when Akhilesh Yadav was laughing. You put everybody in the jail. Then after that, what did you do? You got the secular and socialist through the back door into this. You took Kashmir to the United Nations, and still we are paying for it. You have done all the fiascos what Bharat has seen. You let Warren Anderson go out and after massacring so many people in India. You had these relations. You sent Hanslal Bardwaj to London to defreeze Cockroach's frozen accounts. This is all I'm talking about. You just noted history. With all those things happening, and you know exactly what Modi ji to come into your arena and play the game. If Modi ji was not good, he won't be here. He won't be third time in a row. He won't have not got this kind of a mandate. And when this Maharashtra defeat has really gone into their head, here after Haryana, Maharashtra drubbing, and these people getting irrelevant in politics. Look, the India alliance is breaking. Akhilesh has literally walked out and other people are thinking of breaking out. You have Mamta Didi coming and telling you, I want to be the leader. You are not good enough to be the leader. So when out of all the wisdom what Prime Minister Modi spoke, you only remember.
Let me also we have a packed house today, Sumit. Let me also bring in Nikhil Jain, who in fact cracked up the minute you started your response, Nikhil. To say it all, it was a good speech by Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. I cannot say the same thing about Rahul Gandhi. But the fact of the matter is that corruption and policy paralysis and some of the indecisive nature of the UPA 1-2 is always something which is summoned by the BJP in every and each of response of theirs. How do you make of the stalemate in the parliament right now, provided that we are not getting any work done as a result of these disagreements?
So, Vineet, when we talk about corruption and policy paralysis in the UPA government, I think what we're primarily talking about is the UPA 2 government. We had a wonderful government from 2004 to 9. It was only after 2009 that the allegations for CWG scam, coal scam, 2G scam and all these scams came into being. Then the India Against Corruption came into being, a Lokpal movement came into being. And subsequently, I think what the government of the day did, which I personally feel was very wrong on their part, was that they just caved into whatever the opposition or whatever a politically motivated activist movement was saying. Now, you talk about corruption. Tell me how many people have been convicted in the 2G scam despite it any Modi government? How many people have been convicted in the CWG? How many people have been convicted in the coal scam? A policy of the government that basically allocated telecom spectrum and coal blocks on a first come first serve basis with the object of increasing the coal mining in the country, increasing the telecom penetration of the country, which is a perfectly fine policy discretion to make, was used by the BJP and forces allied with the BJP as if it was some sort of a major scam, which it never was. But the Congress at the time failed to communicate that, and the BJP completely reaped the benefits of it in terms of politically, strengthening themselves. They would not let the parliament function. They kept on harping about the non-issues instead of talking about better implementation of the people welfare measures that the UPA 1 had brought in, like the right to education, the right to information, and things of that nature. So far as the Prime Minister's speech from yesterday is concerned, I found it very laughable in one sense that he wants to give a speech on the Constitution in December for some reason. I don't know why. The Constitution was completed on the 26th of November. It was enacted on the 6th of January. For some reason, he wanted to give a speech on the 14th of December. He starts the speech, 20 minutes in, he says, मैं किसी व्यक्ति पे कोई सवाल नहीं उठाना चाहता, लेकिन. And after the lekin, for a whole hour, he went on about barraging Prime Minister Nehru, then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, then Sonia Gandhi, who was never even a minister, and then Rahul Gandhi and the entire Nehru Gandhi family. And he just completely forgot about the fact that he was there to speak about the Constitution and all sorts of falsehoods that are being spread about by the BJP about the Constitution. It's laughable. They keep on harping about the issue of Article 370 and Article 35 is somehow deviously, installed by the Congress in the Constitution, without forgetting the fact that Article 370 was part of the original Constitution, which came into force on the 26th of January 1950. It was not Nehru's own doing. It was a decision of the Constituent Assembly. party. Similarly, they also harp upon the fact that the constitution, the first attack on the constitution was by Jawaharlal Nehru when he added the first amendment, which caused restrictions on the freedom of speech and this and that. Now, please remove that restriction if you have a problem with it. The fact is, that was introduced so as to stop secessionist movements. That was something that was ratified by the Constituent Assembly.
Okay, let me also get Jasmine Sandavalia.
They needed retort by Priyanka
Nikhil, we have
Gandhi,
a packed
which is
house
perfectly
today. I want to accommodate everyone. I want them to speak their minds. Jasmine Sandavalia, in fact, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra also went on to say that why is the BJP always looking into the past? Ateet mein jaane ki kya zarurat hai? Look at the present, look at the future. She also went on to say that the BJP's own status at this point in time in terms of political efficacy, of course, alluding to the numbers you got in 2024, is at stake. How do you respond to that?
Vineet, first of all, I want to begin by saying that yesterday I was on a television channel and I welcomed Priyanka Gandhi's speech, and I said that we welcome her speech, which was well delivered, which must have been written by a battery of journalists. But I do want to, after hearing her speak today and her brother speak today and answering your question, academia, unfortunately, is not a forte of the Gandhi siblings. When they talk about that BJP talks about the past, I do want them to remember that today only itself, Rahul Gandhi has quoted history wrongly. So he should definitely do a brush up on his history of ancient India. When you say that BJP is always harping about the past, this is a nation of 75 years. We are 75 years young. And out of those 75 years, 55 years, Congress has the significant advantage or privilege of ruling this country. So our benchmark is always going to be referring that what did they do? It is all right for them to accuse us that we are doing this wrong. But when they talk about constitution, I do want to bring it to Priyanka Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party as such to be aware that the first amendments which happened in the constitution was started by late Jawaharlal Nehru. He wrote to 11 chief ministers saying that if there is anything which comes between governance or between anything of freedom of speech, the First Amendment was rectified by him. He repeatedly changed it. Then even during Indira Gandhi's rule, look what they did in emergency. Yesterday somebody asked me, she's taken this question of emergency on her chin. The young lady has to take it on her chin. She cannot deny that the entire, who ruined the Constitution of India? Who has the dubious distinction? Nobody talks about it. If we say that Indira Gandhi is one prime minister in this country who imposed emergency on our nation, it is a slur. It's a historic blunder. She ruined the Constitution of India and you can't deny it. I rest my case on that.
Okay, all right. Well, let me also rope in Advocate Mahima Singh into this conversation. Mahima Singh, in fact, Rahul Gandhi also went on to say that Veer Savarkar said there is nothing Indian about the Indian Constitution. And in fact, that was a jibe that he used to try and smear the Bharatiya Janata Party and the importance it has given to Veer Savarkar. But anyhow, do you think that the mistakes of the past by the Congress Party will forever haunt them? And that is becoming, a big leverage point for the Bharatiya Janata Party at this point in time, because it seems to be repeated in every session.
Jai Hind. In fact, Vineet, let me begin by saying these words from Muzaffar Warsi, who says, औरों के ख़यालात की लेते हैं तलाशी और अपने गरेबान में झांका नहीं जाता. That is the BJP, that is Mr. Modi for you. And, they are forgetting that Parliament is not a stage to spread canards in this country. And it doesn't bode well for our country on the world stage also. These kind of speeches, the chest-thumping speeches by the Prime Minister, who disowns and looks away from Manipur, who disowns and looks away from Hathras, the plight of the family that is actually bearing the brunt of police raj. There, that has sort of been imprisoned in the CRPF protection that they have been given, to the extent that your fraternity, the journalists, cannot even go and meet them. a prime minister who doesn't acknowledge the rapes against women, who doesn't acknowledge unemployment, the scale of inflation in our country, and just remains in a constant celebratory mode, doesn't want to be affiliated or associated with anything unbecoming, anything unfortunate, because for him, Modi means Jashan. That is how he wants to be remembered. That's how, but unfortunately, he's forgetting when he talks about women, when he talks about houses where, he claims so that he has brought cylinders to those houses. The poor people have the accounts now. I would say this is all, lies spreading. They are spreading lies. They are spreading hates. In fact, I would, rather remark here. I was listening to the BJP spokesperson, and when they say that, when they talk about the past, and you also asked me about the past, let me say, Vineet, that if it weren't for the Congress party's reaffirmation of constitutional values, of the constitution that actually our own forefathers brought, BJP has nothing to do with it. BJP disowned it constantly. If it weren't for the upholding of those constitutional values by the Congress party, a party with merely 2 MPs at one point in time wouldn't have dreamt of 300 plus, wouldn't have dreamt of a third term that they are thumping their chests about today. So you see, they have to acknowledge, they have to understand that the governments, their predecessors, have not only protected this constitution, in fact, the years that they talk about, the emergency years, let me say that we have, in fact, conveyed our apologies, our leaders constantly. But apart from that aside, Vineet, I would like to just say 2 points in here. One is, do not forget the historical win that India conferred upon us at that point in time. 400 plus, which Modi only dreams of, was for the Congress after that very chapter of the history. And secondly, I would like to say, today, no court can dare rule against Mr. Modi. Such is the environment created in our country by Mr. Modi and his party and his allies. So you see, we are proud of our history. We are proud of what we are. We are proud of our leader of opposition, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who constantly brings up issues that concern the people of this country, which is, the constitutional values, which is Adani's indictment in the US, which is Hathras plight, which is paper leaks constantly happening all across the country.
All right.
Which is reservation, unlike the BJP that only has an obsession with Gandhi.
All right, Mahimaji. Let me rope in Dr. Datta as well. He's been waiting patiently for everyone to conclude. Dr. Datta, is it right to harp on the mistakes of the Congress's past every time there is an opportunity in the parliament? What about the development or the development model that the BJP has created? Wouldn't that be a better plank, to thump your chest about, rather than bringing out the ghosts of the past of your opponents?
Well, good evening, Vineet. I was listening to all the experts in the Parvaktas of the different parties.
If you can be a little louder, Dr. Datta.
Well, Vineet, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Well, I was listening to all the Parvaktas of the different party and all the experts. Good evening, Vineet. Few things came in my mind while I was listening to them. First and foremost, you asked me the question that is it correct to harp on the past? Vineet, yesterday was yesterday for me now. It was not yesterday, it was today. So should I forget yesterday? Because I'm now here today, so I should forget yesterday. I should forget that I was born, a couple of years back. Let's forget that, because that is past. How can we negate the past? And how can we forget the past? Most important is, like I was listening to Madam Priyanka Vadra ji, she was talking about that, I felt that the speech of the Prime Minister was like a boring session of 2 mathematics period, I understand, Vineet. I never, as a child, felt boring in doing 2 double periods of mathematics, because I was always good in math. I always feel that people who fail in math, they are the ones who used to find even a single period of maths to be boring. Let me ask a couple of questions to Madam Vadra. Is it a is it boring that because Nehruji had gifted Akshay gene and, gifted Pakistan and occupied Kashmir to Pakistan and China, was that double period of mathematics boring for Priyanka Vadra? Was the double period of mathematics boring for dismissing opposition governments 96 times by misusing Article 356 by Congress? Was that boring? Was it boring for Pandit Nehru's double mathematics period to discard the permanent membership of the UN Security Council and to gift it to China? Was that boring? Was it boring for the Congress party for the double period of mathematics to impose emergency in our country? Priyanka Vadra needs to given answers to all these kind of issues. Whether the mathematics period is boring or not, that is irrelevant. Was it boring to stand in the, like Henderson of Union Carbide by a special chartered plane? Was it boring to give a clean sheet to Kochi by the Congress government? Even if the period of double mathematics was boring, according to Priyanka Vadra, we will discuss and we will, dig out these boring chapters again and again. Was it boring to misuse INS Vikram for a personal holiday of Mrs. Sonia Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi for a holiday tour around Maldives by misusing the ship of the Indian Navy? We will again and again narrate those boring chapter of mathematics, whether Priyanka Gandhi Vadra likes it or not. Second thing is, like, if I have to go by their narration, then I have to rewrite Mahabharata once again as per the version of our brother, Shriman Rahulji, in which I have to make Patanabhya Dronacharya, and Dronacharya has taken up.
Okay, you've brought in.
This should be a new Mahabharata.
You've brought in some good points. Let me get Nikhil to respond to you. Nikhil, obviously there is, or I should say, there are a lot of grudges, that have seeped into the central government and the ruling party when it comes to the Congress. But which government, which party has not made mistakes? If you go around the entire world, even if you go around in India, if it's the UPA 1, UPA 2, the Indira Gandhi government, or in fact the one that was led by Atal Bihari Vajpayee as well, or even the coalition governments, multitude of those that we have had, they've all made mistakes. Isn't that part of the evolution of any country, and should they be mischaracterized as planks for vote banks?
It's absolutely the point. All the way from Jawaharlal Nehru to Prime Minister Modi, every single Prime Minister, every single government has made mistakes. Some of those mistakes may have been deliberate on the parts of some government, and some of those mistakes was because we are humans. We're not gods, right? Whether it's Prime Minister Nehru or Prime Minister Modi, both of them can go wrong. But now to vilify and demonize them for whichever mistake any Prime Minister or government committed and just harp on about the past instead of talking about the future, that is my problem. Although, with that said, I'm a little glad that today the Prime Minister on the floor of the Parliament is not speaking about protesters as Andolan Jivis or the opposition as Parjivis, but is instead showering praises on the Constitution, on Ambedkar, despite the fact that when the Constitution, the draft was adopted in November 1949, it was the RSS mouthpiece or RSS magazine organizer that called this very constitution anti-Bharatiya. They did not respect it one bit. Savarkar had a problem with it. Golwalkar had a problem with it. And they had and they wanted a rule of law in the country that was established by Manusmriti. Whereas Ambedkar, who they now hail, was the same person who burnt a copy of Manusmriti in public. So there's a lot of dissonance in what the BJP's actual ideology is and what they have to wax eloquent about today because they're in government. Obviously, they can't come in and say that this constitution is bad. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to nitpick on things that have gone wrong and sometimes even create things that never went wrong. All the talk about Article 370, they failed to tell the people of the country that it was Maharaja Hari Singh, a Hindu ruler of the erstwhile sovereign princely state of Jammu and Kashmir, who insisted upon an addition of an article like that in the constitution, which was a condition for him to merge into the Indian Union. Otherwise, he would have stayed an independent country or gone with Pakistan. And the government at the time deemed it appropriate to include a provision like that and functioned perfectly well. Now, BJP can now say Article 370 was wrong, 35A was wrong, and this and that, but until 2019, if you look at the Human Development Index parameters in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, they far trump most of the states in the country. I'm not saying it was the best state, certainly cannot be because of the insurgency problem, but
okay, Nikhil, let me just quickly get Sumit to respond to you.
Vinit, can I come here, please?
Yeah, I'll come to you, Dr. Datta. Just I want to get a minute to everyone. I want everybody to have at least 2 rounds of speaking their mind. Sumit, do you agree with Nikhil that of course all governments make mistakes? You know, even this government took back the farm laws. They finally conceded that it was something wrong to do. Now, is the Congress supposed to harp on that, you know, whenever they come to power next, or even if they don't?
We need that 2 or 3 quick points. First of all, out of 75 years, I'm ruling for 55 years, and you want to talk, it is atrocious, it is mathematics class, it's boring. Don't talk about 55 years. I impose emergency, put everybody in the jail. You want me to not talk about that. I have done all the blunders which I listed in my initial monologue. I don't want to talk about that. Now you have been in power for 12 or 15 years. I want to skin you out and call all your mistakes. But for me, don't talk anything on that. That is where the problem is. जिन लोगों ने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को जेब में रख के घूमा, लिटरली जेब में रख के घूमा, and they are today showing the copies of constitution and they are acting as the custodians of the constitution. If you want to have a debate and have an objective basis, and the 370 happened because we need, the fact is Nehru's good friend Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah was to be given power. It is not Hari Singh requested that. It is because he wanted to give power to Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah and wanted to keep Muslim Janta of their Kashmir happy. He agreed to it. Patel did not agree to it. Dr. Ambedkar did not agree to it. Why did Sardar Patel and Ambedkar not agree to it? This was just to keep his good.
Okay, again.
Happy, and people of
we are
Kashmir
going back in history now. Okay,
I
got your point. All right, Advocate Mahima Singh, concluding thoughts from you also, and then we'll take one each from Jasmine Ji and Dr. Datta as well. Quickly, please, 30 seconds to each one of you.
You see, Vineet, when the Prime Minister on the floor of the Parliament uses, I would say, a low-grade vocabulary like bazaar mein, बाजार में माल, I am quoting his words verbatim, बाजार में माल बिक रहा है, something like that, पेट में पाप, मुंह पे खून लग गया, भारत के लोकतंत्र का बाजार बना दिया गया, सत्ता की भूख, this vocabulary on the floor of the Parliament is very unbecoming of the Prime Minister, and which is why, yes, it was not only boring as a maths period, I would say it was so unproductive that every taxpayer of this country must be asking a question today, that does the Prime Minister of this country even have the slightest of the idea what the Parliament is meant for? What does it stand for, let alone the Constitution? From Golwalkar to Savarkar to K.S. Sudarshan, everybody has time and again reiterated what their ideas are.
All right, ma'am. All right. Let me get a response. Let me get a response from Jasmine Ji as well, and then we'll end with Dr. Datta. Jasmine Ji, 30 seconds to you.
Like I said, that the academia is not the forte of the Gandhi siblings. When Madam of the Congress spokesperson is saying that the vocabulary, I want to just end with this, that does it behove Priyanka Gandhi to say that this was a double maths class? She's a parliamentarian.
No, she didn't say it on
She's
the
not
floor
a
of the
housewife.
Parliament.
It is so, let me, I did not interrupt.
I did not say it on the floor of the Parliament. Bazaar mein maal on floor of
talking. Please,
No.
all right,
don't ask her to keep quiet. This is not
Okay,
a wrong
okay.
remark.
Advocate Mahima, let her finish her point. Let her finish her point. Advocate Mahima, let her finish her point. I'll give you 10 seconds to retort. Advocate Mahima, I'll give you 10 seconds to retort. Jasmine Ji, quickly conclude your point. We've run out of time.
Do you think it behoves Priyanka Gandhi to say to the Prime Minister that this was a double math class?
Okay, all right.
Is this a parliamentarian's language?
Okay,
I rest my
all
case
right,
on
I
that.
got your point. All right, Advocate Mahima, quickly, 10 seconds, please.
Did Priyanka ji say that on the floor of the Parliament? No. But Prime Minister said, बाजार में माल, भारत के लोकतंत्र का बाजार, पेट में पाप, मुंह पे खून, on the floor of the Parliament.
Okay, all right, Dr. Datta.
Certainly not my
Dr.
Prime
Datta,
Minister.
all right, Dr. Datta, I want you to come in now. 30 seconds, please.
First and foremost, one thing I want to make clear out here. Like, it was not Raja Hari Singh who had asked for Article 370. It was the Sheikh Abdullah who had requested for. I would suggest him to go and relook at the instrument of accession of Jammu and Kashmir with the Indian Union, the state of Jammu and Kashmir with the Indian Union. Now, coming to what is filthy and what is unparliamentary, I heard that Rahul ji in Parliament, he said, tapasya शरीर गरम करने का एक माध्यम, because what I know is through tapasya It is the connection of the soul with the supreme soul and not sharir garam karne ka ek madhyam hai. Hearing this, I thought that perhaps Mr. Rahul Gandhi is talking about the tradition of Kama Sutra, ancient Indian scripture. You know,
Okay. Advocate Mahima, Advocate Mahima wants to report. Advocate Mahima, quickly respond.
What does he mean by that? Is he talking about the ancient tradition of Kama Sutra? No, it is not. It is there in social media. It is there in Lok Sabha record. It is there in Lok Sabha debate record. You are lying because you are caught.
We don't want to get into a decibel match, Dr. Datta. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. I apologize. We cannot accommodate any more comments. We have completely run out of time. We'll get another opportunity. The winter session is still on. We'll take a short break. Thank you everyone who joined us. We'll be right back.
Co-powered by